He's Parisien, by the way.
Yeah, I'm Parisian, so
In case you haven't noticed.
in case you haven't noticed, and it's okay if you hate me. It's okay because we are better than you. You know, like it's okay to hate what's better than you.
And welcome all to the Speakeasy podcast. I am Daryl,
And I'm Phil.
and today we have
HUGO.
today we have a special guest. HUGO Remy. What do you call it? A member of Newcrown Productions, a team and
Family.
the family, yes,
family.
his own very own filmmaker. So let's talk, Hugo.
Right.
Yeah, let's talk.
So what first got you into filmmaking? I asked every single filmmaker.
Yeah, you asked me what before recording, and I went on a speech. This was glorious. You missed a great speech, people. Like you got to understand, it was enormous.
It was Lord of the Rings type of speech.
It was not.
Exactly.
It was improvised. It was all improvised. It's not scripted.
Yeah. So to make it quickly, like I've always been into film. Not maybe not into making them, but I always watched them. Like this was.
Yeah.
Like all the kids were playing football, I was watching film in my room alone, dark room. I have to say that.
Sounds depressing.
No. That's not that
Super
depressing.
villain story.
That's what got me here so far. So shut up. But yeah, and I started wanting to make film as soon as I knew I could make one and I could make money with it. Things like that. No. And my first short was when I was 16 with my big brother and a friend of ours.
Yeah.
And ever since I've like done stuff here and there, like from 16 to my second year of French university, I've made like, I don't know, 10 shorts, like very small shorts. Like some were exercise for the university, some were much more personal.
Yeah.
And then I got here, and I would say like I'm much more into directing things, but I write things all the time. Like I got a pile of scripts, which just get bigger and bigger with COVID, you know.
You have a lot of scripts.
Exactly, I got a lot of scripts, but I don't do any of them. This is the good part.
Yeah, that's
and yeah, I had to practice on lighting and framing with photographs and stuff. So that's pretty much my resume, I would say.
Yeah. Well, so basically it's safe to say that your focus was always been in film. It wasn't like you didn't want to do like music beforehand, or you didn't want to do other things.
Actually, I have when I got like secondary school, like just quick reminder, there's no CGEP in France. Like you end secondary school at 18. And when I got near the end of secondary school, I knew I wanted to be a director, but I got a little bit of. I hesitated a little bit between movies and video games, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because when I was a kid, when I wasn't watching films, I was playing video games. To be honest, like this is my life. Like this is how you can resume my childhood. But so yeah, and I still play a lot. So I kind of admit that I kind of hesitated between films and video games for a time. But what's got me to really commit to films is when I noticed how bad I was with computers. Like as simple as that, and how better I was with a camera, and I prefer the image.
Yeah, how easier it is to capture image instead of coding the actual gameplay.
So,
yeah, actually.
Since you have a passion for both of these mediums, what would you say are the defining traits of video games in relation to film? What separates them?
There's this comparison I pretty much hate. Like a lot of people like to say that video games are arts because they are like films. And I hate that because it makes video games don't have any specific quality to them. They're just like a copy of another art.
Yeah.
But to me, like video games, what makes this medium specific in its own quality in contrast to all the other ones is interactivity. Like it's the fact that the quote unquote audience isn't passive. He like participate to it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Like you can really like take out all the rest, but still it's still a game because you are active in it. You're not just watching through images passing through.
And then there are games like the games made by one David Cage that blur the line. And I know that you and I have had conversations about this, but
Yeah, and
uh,
I knew you wanted to talk about it.
yes,
Let's,
yes. So
let's be
have you,
clear. I don't like David Cage. I don't like this man.
yeah,
I mean,
we've gone on record about that, I think. But
yeah. What
uh,
he's doing with those games, they are just like I literally I called it useless. Like it's like making a film who like it's like just imagine you're making a 2-hour film which is an adaptation of a book.
Yeah.
Instead of actually adapting, you're just making screenshots of the pages.
Yeah.
right.
And that's basically what he's doing with video games. Because
So,
like yeah,
so,
go ahead.
so how do you feel? How do you feel about games like Until Dawn and what was it? There's games where you're allowed to like the audience is allowed to make the choice, and then depending
Yeah.
on the choice, the
Well, I'm not against that because Until Dawn I haven't played it, but it is actually a game because
Yeah.
you are
It's a
active, you're
video
making
game.
choices. But when you
Yeah.
look at David Cage's game, like he makes you think you're making choices, but in fact you don't. Like because
In fact,
I've
it's a
played,
linear
yeah,
story.
I've made one playthrough in the last one, Detroit, and I
Yeah,
watched
Detroit,
it,
yeah.
and I just watched a bunch of playthrough on the internet,
Yeah.
and actually like the choice don't make any difference. Like there's like maybe 3 versions of the same story, but like
Yeah.
there's in the whole marketing campaign they keep telling you there are infinite ones, but it's really not true.
Right, right. So it's actually like railroaded.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like everything is on rails. You know where it's heading.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can make aesthetic choices maybe, but
Yeah, like
The story doesn't really diverge anywhere else if it
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and
is
like
a
still
consequence of it.
heading towards the same places,
That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
physically and thematically.
and there's actually one thing I'd add. They actually used like I call that a cheat. They are literally cheating into making new stories because like when the game came out, they told everyone, oh, there's more than 20 endings. But when you play the game, what you notice is that among those 25 endings, like 23 endings are just disguised game overs.
Yeah, the
They're
same.
just
Yeah.
different ways to die.
Yeah.
They're just like moments of game
Right.
when you lose, well, you got a good cinematic at the end, but it's basically a game over. So
Yeah,
don't change
and
anything.
no one stops playing after a game over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not an ending.
It's just a game over. You just lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I feel like nowadays though, video games are getting more and more cinematic. Like for me, God of War was like the
Right.
best, or Red Dead Redemption is like the best example where you
I
literally
think
have a
yeah, I
cinematic
think
scope.
the PlayStation 4's roster of games in particular is trying to hammer home the storytelling aspect, I believe, of these. Often these are open world games
Yeah,
that have a story told through the characters, but also the development within the world.
yeah, the
So
aesthetic
the
as
game
well.
world evolves as you play through it, and that kind of reflects like Red Dead,
Yeah.
that Spider-Man game,
Yeah.
that's all a bunch of open world games that tell that story through the gameplay in a sense, through your exploration.
Honestly, there's a great example that, to me, like a great example of like mixing cinematic codes into video game. It's the last God of War with
Yeah,
that
exactly. Yeah,
really great idea. They had this great idea of making like a long shot, a whole long shot for the whole game.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like they just hide. There are a few cuts, but of course they hide
Hide the
them.
cuts.
yeah. They
It's
have the
like
cuts.
Yeah,
Birdman
Yeah.
as a video game.
yeah, and like it really works. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think that the revamp got really popular and actually won the best game of 2018 because
Yeah.
it's very much it also it brings about new audiences to either art form. So like a lot of people who played the original God of Wars, who didn't play the original God of Wars in PS3 and 2, they got into the new one in PS4 because they're
Yeah.
like, oh look, it's so different, and the storytelling is so much more grandiose and more sort of clear and less like platforming and all that stuff. It's very much like there's a whole adventure going through, and you get to see it through the eyes of two relatable characters. So I feel like that's why I think like nowadays with technology, everything's getting more and more involved. So VR will be the next thing, where you'll be actually immersed into the fucking film or the
It
game.
depends how accessible VR becomes.
I mean, for
If
now,
it,
VR is not very accessible. Like it's not. It's very
Yeah, for now
it's
it's
not,
limited.
that's the thing.
But
But like right now it's a niche.
yeah,
But it could possibly expand if they democratize the means to
no, for sure, for sure.
either like make games for it or
I
the
mean,
hardware.
prior to the PSP, everything was sort of at home. And when they brought in like, well, the Game Boys and all that
Well,
were still, but
yeah,
they were limited to
handhelds have existed,
they
but
were limited to the amounts of games that could be played. It was more platforming and sort of like, I guess
right.
Pokemon kind of had like the first open world, if you will.
One of the first. I mean, there's still like the Elder Scrolls Arena in the
Yeah.
90s that
Yeah.
that started all of that.
and you can like go way further than that.
You
Like,
could go to
Yeah,
like far back, but where we would consider it an open world in the modern sense would probably like go back to the early 90s.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think it's also interesting to see that the open world has kind of become the dominating genre along with the first person shooter.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the one thing that sort of that limits film is the fact that we like, the filmmakers create a world, but the audience, when the world's so well built, the audience really wants to see the world in its entirety, and so that's what video games allows for, that film lacks. Unless you want to create like a bunch of sequels afterwards, like John Wick, for example, is just like sequel 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then like Fast and Furious, the same thing. So like like the only way for like the world to be completely like explored is to create sequels, but ultimately deteriorate the actual story itself.
Right, right. It's a medium that allows for pit stops to feel natural in a sense.
yeah, but actually, like in a way, there's a way in which like films allow more freedom to audience than video games because like when you're making a film, like you said, you're limited like 2 hours. You're showing an incredible world, but it's just 2 hours. But like after those 2 hours have passed, the audience has this freedom of imagining pretty much whatever they want.
Yeah, like about.
But in video games, you have like, I don't know, 30 hours of content, and like the audience can really see everything. And to be honest, like there's been a few games in which I found it almost suffocating. You want to imagine things, but the game is giving you all the answers. It's just
all the information's there.
yeah, you want to explore the things a bit on your own, but like the video games is already giving you all the cards, so it's
I get
it's
that,
almost disappointing sometimes.
that is true.
I think I've played a few games where I had a conception in my head of, okay, I've seen the entire world of this game, and you wouldn't have that in a film. The impression or the
yeah, but like that's actually like unrealistic. Like you never see the entire world in real life, so you might say that films, by showing you just a parcel,
capture a better essence of real life.
Yeah, just capturing like just a parcel of that world, then you have to imagine it. Are more realistic, because in video games, like worlds sometimes feel so small. Like you see it all.
But that's because of scaling issues, obviously. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if they could, they would make a world simulator like a GTA, Grand Theft Auto, with like the entire planet if they had the processing power. Because that would sell a lot.
Yeah, but
clearly.
that still be like too much.
That'd be kind of boring. Just go Google Maps. Just go Google Maps and look at shit. You know what I mean? Like, you don't.
At this point, Google Maps is a video game.
I mean, it's called GeoGuessr. I don't know.
Yeah, it's GeoGuessr. So yeah, it's become a game.
So it's literally like finding the world. But yeah, so bring it back to films. What kind of films do you like? Do you like the more author oriented? I know you don't like the MCU much because it's
we'll talk later about the MCU.
Very much Scorsese like.
Keeping that in his pocket for later.
It's very much Scorsese like answer where it's like it's very.
Not only that, I would say I'm really much like, to make it very broad.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much interested into everything that's pretty much out of reality, because like to me, movies are really a way to go beyond that. Like I don't watch a lot of documentaries. I got to admit. I'm really into everything that's fantasy, sci-fi. things like that. Like really goes already, but of course you have to make good films with it.
Yeah.
So this is
They have
what
to be
comes
good,
us.
but
Yeah, we
I
have to be
think the
good. This
balance.
is what brings us to the MCU, but that's another story, you know.
I think that's a good. That's the thing that sort of brings about like an appeal to that kind of genre is that it gives you an escape from real life, but still gives you that relatability to the characters. It grounds you.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I would argue that every story is a metaphor,
Yeah, you know,
whether it wants to be or not.
it's a bit like 50-50. Like part of it gives you an escape, so you can take it just
Yeah.
as an escape and just forget all your problems for watching it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
actually, like the other half of it, the other side of the coin, like brings you right back into it because you're
Yeah.
just gonna see the similarities. Oh, this alien represents black people in this night,
Yeah,
things like that. You know.
Yeah,
It's
because
often
the
like that.
only thing that we know is ourselves and our own existences. So the only things you can make stories about are things that we live through or that we know exist. So
Well,
even when we write a story about everyone on a faraway planet, those people are still us. Because
well,
Yeah.
I also
you
think
can't
that
imagine.
if we create stories that aren't relatable to us, then not many people like to
No one, yeah, well,
gravitate towards it.
we had a discussion, Hugo and I, about 2001: A
Yeah, I
Space
fucking hate
Odyssey.
that. I hate that.
I
movie.
love that movie, but
Garbage.
I know that you guys don't like it.
Fucking
I
garbage.
mean, I don't like it, but I won't say it's garbage like Daryl. I mean,
No, yeah, I don't sleep through movies. Okay, I watch like, the worst movies on my entire life on a daily basis. I never sleep through movies. I slept the first 20 minutes. I watched Schindler's List 3 times and I fucking love that film. I
No.
hate it. 20,
I mean,
21, no one.
Please, no.
just like to come back to the conversation I made with Phil, because of course you who are watching or listening to that, you don't know about this conversation. This to be clear and to finish it, to end it, like I'll start it. I know.
Finish
Like
it.
Finish it.
2001 is interesting. It's quite a unique film, but my personal problem is that it's clear that Stanley Kubrick didn't make this film for anyone but himself, because he's basically, I'm sure Kubrick is the only, was, because he's dead, was the only single person understanding it.
Yeah.
And that bothers me a little bit, because like it makes, why have you made it if no one is supposed to like
Understand it.
grab what it is? Like,
Yeah.
I understand your criticism of that. And to me, it doesn't hamper my love for it, because my theory on criticism is, at the end of the day, this is a thing that many authors and creators will be a bit ashamed of. But the truth is, I feel, authors don't know as much about their own work as other people do. Because once the work is out there, it's the work of critics and the work of people who analyze those stories to decipher what even the creator couldn't see because of, the biases that they exist. They have a lived experience that they transmit willingly or not. So I feel like no matter what, there are elements in your film that you are not aware are like, they're not intentional, but you put them there, and thus they say something about your film or about maybe you.
Well, I think it's
Because-
more the idea of perception or perspectives that does that. 'Cause
Sure.
ultimately,
But
anything.
just what you frame, how you frame something,
Yeah.
means something about how you view things.
Because maybe
So-
Kubrick wants to frame everything all
That's the
symmetrically
thing,
'cause
though.
it's aesthetically nice, and then
I
everyone's like, oh,
agree with Hugo that it's probably made in a way that the only person who feels they know the true meaning or the author's meaning is the author himself, right?
yeah.
But my argument is, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because everyone's opinion is as valid or important on it, because
Yeah.
Kubrick is gone and people still talk about it and submit their theses on what it means.
Yeah, but it's not about that. It's just like when I watched 2001, I was like, well, I really made the effort. Like I watched, like unlike Daryl, I watched it twice, like 2 days. Like
Yeah.
really, I made the effort, like try to understand it. Like, but when I watched it, I really felt outside of it. Like it was really like, I don't know, when you see a child playing with his toys in his corner, you just don't want to intervene. Like it's his thing. And I was like, okay, you made this movie, you can watch it yourself, by yourself at home.
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem like it's made for me or it's made for anyone else.
Yeah, it's like a home video movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like that. It was that same thing. It was like watching the home video of someone I don't know. Like
Yeah,
home
it's
videos
like,
are just
oh,
made for
okay.
yourself.
I
Like,
think it was
You
almost 3
must have
hours
had
too,
a
right?
lot of fun, Kubrick.
yeah, you know.
It's almost 3 hours too. No, I think the
Yeah.
film is like. So yeah,
Yeah.
so imagine watching that, going 3 hours and just watching a child play. To use Hugo's analogy, a child playing with his toys in the corner for 3 hours. You're just like,
And a child that you don't know.
Yeah, you
it's
don't
like,
know him. That's the worst. You don't know him.
yeah.
You don't know nothing about him. Like,
I mean, I guess in a sense, from a observer standpoint, you could sort of decipher and like try to understand what a meaning could come out of it. You know what I mean? Like a journalist trying to like understand what's going on and
Sure, I
objectively.
mean, that's something I do enjoy, is that there is a lot to pick at in it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things the film lightly touch on,
But there, there are a
no,
lot
and
there are a lot more interesting films like A Clockwork Orange or fucking The Shining where you could actually enjoy that shit.
maybe.
yeah,
I really like A Space Odyssey. It has it's going for a style of its own when tackling sci-fi,
Yeah.
and that style is, like hard sci-fi.
it's cold.
It's very hard to enjoy, but Daryl, you're probably going to be taking that class that I've taken on science
one?
fiction.
Oh,
That
the literal literature.
yeah, and I really love that class. We read an excerpt. I read the entire thing beforehand, but you're probably going to read an excerpt from the book that A Space Odyssey is based on.
Oh, great! There's a fucking
And
book. Of course, there's a book.
well,
I
the
I
hate
love
whole
the
it.
class
movie.
is
I,
gonna
I'm,
be
I'm gonna
reading books,
enjoy
so
the
have
book.
fun.
I'm gonna enjoy the book.
But
Imagine the book ultimately makes me fall in love with the concept, and
that
I
would
go back
be
to the movie.
awesome.
And you're
Yeah.
just like, yo, I can't stand Kubrick. Get the fuck out of here.
I know someone who likes the book and who does not like the film.
Wasn't it the same concept of what was it the one that Blade Runner is based on?
Oh, it's not Philip K. Dick. No, it's
No, no,
not.
no, no, no. I'm talking about the book itself. What was it called?
Do Android dream?
Do Android
Do
Dream? Yeah,
Android dreams of electric sheep?
yeah. So
Yeah.
like the very concept of it is sort of like reflected onto Blade Runner, and a lot of people sort of correlate those two ideas of sort of like, what does it mean to really be human? Does it matter to an android
Well,
could think?
thematically maybe, but I wouldn't say they're that similar. I feel like Blade Runner is really, and the book are really like a meditation on the what is being human
Well, yeah.
by not knowing in the first place.
Well, yeah. I'm talking specifically the Denis Villeneuve remake of 2049.
Right.
Where ultimately you're looking through a character that's ultimately sort of is he like was a cyborg? Is he half? I remember.
For the record, I really, really, really love Blade Runner 2049. I think I like it more than the original sometimes.
Yeah,
because
I know. I actually like it before.
It really runs with the themes of the book and continues from there. And
Yeah.
it drops a lot of the pretensions of the original, or the aspects that I feel work a bit less. Also, it doesn't have like 20 million different cuts.
No, it's two.
It got five,
has
to
two-
be
it has
honest,
two.
to be precise. We got
It has
five
five, it
cuts.
has five.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had five
yeah.
cuts of the original Blade Runner. That's horrible.
More than
like.
2 is too much.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Um,
You know what I mean? It has to change. And there's different cuts.
What is
different
it, George Lucas? Like, no, you don't need to keep.
I mean, with George Lucas is a bit different because with just George Lucas is like what you could call updates, quote unquote. Like he
Updates,
just
yeah.
he just remade the special effects.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't
Yeah.
change the whole scenes and adds shots or cut shots.
Yeah, it's like he's like Apple, where he just changes the few
Yeah,
things
yeah.
and calls it a new
Like,
iPhone.
it's a
Right.
joke, but actually it's a good joke. It's like that. But like with Blade Runner, it's really 5 alternate cuts. But sometimes the changes are just so small. Like I think the big difference between 2 cuts are just like 1 shot. There's
Yeah.
1 cut with 1 shot, another cut without the
The
shot.
unicorn, yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just
I guess the editing would just completely change the meaning of stuff. I don't know.
Well, to the author, obviously it does, yes. And that's what's interesting is if someone has the patience, they can look at these different cuts and,
Analyze them.
extrapolate.
I mean, if it's one thing that it's true about filmmaking, that's sometimes one cut is enough to change the whole thing. Like,
Yeah. Well,
Just-
speaking of one cut, well, we did 3 shorts that had nothing to do with each other. And had a great idea to fucking fuse them all together. So
Oh boy.
that's gonna be interesting. But to be fair though, I
New
mean,
Crown extended universe.
yeah, the
Oh,
extended
shit.
universe.
Oh
So
boy.
so
we're
yeah,
all
so
gonna be part of it, Hugo. You have a 10-year contract where you have to keep returning as a side character.
a
Why am I
recurring-
here
recurring
again?
DP. So yeah, what was your experience working with us in those shoots? Well, starting with come in and then
Starting with
Yeah,
some,
like coming, like we basically made 3, like coming, fly, and HUGO. I was like DP on fly on the. I was DP on the 3,
You
but
were
it's just
DP
I
on-
worked a lot with Antoine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how to say it?
it's all shit. I fucking hate these guys.
No, it's just like no, really. It's just, I have a sense that it's very cliche. Like, be careful. It's
Yeah.
not shit. It's different.
Yeah.
Just like
Jason, the editing is like, yeah, same here, man.
it's just like it's very different from. It's just like you two guys, like you two basically directed those 3. Like W directed Coming and Altigo and Flash on Philip was yours. Like you just have very different ways of working than mine. Like you'll see at the time when we're finally gonna direct one of mine. Like
Yeah, I'm
you're gonna see
interested.
how different.
I
Like,
mean,
oh, Philip.
I can
So
vouch because
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
actually been the DP for Hugo
yeah, we made a
in a short
Yeah, it was
called The End.
Yeah, it was my very last short up to date. Like it was like last February.
Yeah. So
But-
what was that like filming your Hugo and filming his short?
Just to finish my point, just
Sure.
you two have very different ways of working, because like when I do things, I just like to plan everything, and all you're doing while shooting just follow the plan.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
a precise storyboard. Like I can show you, I have a whole wall with drawings everywhere of a story.
Yeah.
Like, this is the new page. But anyway, just I like to plan anything, because I like the idea of just having everything settled. And you two guys have this point in common of being much more free, like on
Well,
shooting.
I would argue that me and Daryl also have a few differences in
Yeah, for
our
sure.
our
For sure.
Oh,
approach.
of course. Like they're all like I would say, like, if I got one word for your directing style, will be, I already said it to Philippe last time. It's efficient.
Okay.
You know what you want, and you know how to get there as efficient as possible. Like there's one specific scene on Alter Ego. Like when we began shooting, you said to me, "Oh, we're gonna make 3 shots," but in the end, we just made 1.
Yeah.
And that was enough. That it's not a bad thing. It's just like you know how to get to your effect as efficient as possible, and I'm sure it's gonna be like, I haven't seen any cuts yet, but I'm sure it's gonna show in the movie. Like,
For
to be
sure.
honest.
Because I think of it in also in a producer standpoint, where I want to try to like minimize the amount of work but maximize the amount of sort of work, I guess, the results. So
Right.
I want to try and if I could do one shot and like compensate everything that I want inside that shot, I'll do it, because it's less work for everyone else.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
less, rearranging.
That's something I see in your directorial style, so to speak, until now, that you very much come at it from the perspective of a producer.
Yeah.
So it's like a trickle down type of perspective.
Phil's very much methodical with how he wants to do his stuff. It's very, as far as like he knows what shot he wants, and he knows what the meaning of the shot. So
the meaning of the shot is the most important thing.
Yeah, but that's the most. That's why I like to draw every shots, like, because each shot has a precise meaning. And
I mean, I remember when we started Fly, all of us, we were getting ready on our first day. So I had my shot list, and I had a checklist for each of them.
Yeah.
And they each had a certain amount had to be checked every day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think all of our films we shot in 3. Well, I mean, aside from Come In, we shot in 3 days. Come In, we did it in 1.5, which is because it was one place there. But for all of our shots, we did all of our little shorts, we did 3 days of shooting. So it was good.
One thing I was very at first there was one issue we had with sound, which made us have to scrap a shot that I really liked.
Yeah.
And that was probably the biggest challenge, I would say, during that shoot.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that in the end, because we were trying to come up with a way to have the same framing, the same shot. We still managed with a different location
Yeah.
to get the same shot with the values, with the sizes.
Yeah. I argued, to be fair, I don't know. I'm biased towards it, but I think the second shot, like the one that got into the cut, was better than the original because it matches the frame beforehand. So it was kind of like in the same space.
Well, it has the same, like I said, the same dimension. So like
Yeah.
when there's one thing I really wanted was to have the size difference within the frame.
Yeah, the frame. Yeah.
We kept that. So it kept all the everything that was on my checklist.
Yeah.
But the location.
The location was
So
different, yeah. I'm
it
interested.
was a good change.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it
wasn't
didn't
like-
ruin the whole thing.
Yeah, it wasn't like last minute stuff, like
But,
really unprepared stuff. But I was like, yeah.
But I'm glad that we didn't have to do that with any other shot because I
Yeah.
would have not liked that.
But yeah,
Uh,
I'm interested to see what Hugo's director's style. Since you've really worked with him, what do you think?
Oh, well, I would say it's more similar to mine than yours, far
Yeah.
more. It's much more, there's a shot list, we go one by one and we do them. Though, to be fair, the short that I was DP for was all interior. So
Okay.
it was much more,
It was easier. Like
it was simple.
it was a lot easier than anything we did. Like like the end, like to be just to drop a word about it. It was just like a short experiment I wanted to make. I just like had the idea. I thought, what about making a mute movie, like mute movie without any sound? Like what could I do?
That was like
So
a short,
I tried that. I mean, I'll show you guys this movie. Like Philip showed it, but I'll show you that one. And maybe we'll make it on New Crown. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. We'll probably remake it.
Yeah,
Yeah, remake
but
it, yeah.
that's the thing, and I don't mean this as a slight in any way to Hugo, but it's a very easy, or at least in the circumstances, it's very like
Was it? Yeah.
we didn't have to worry about lighting as much aside from the changing of day. We didn't have to worry about like
But
the
this
time
is,
of day and the
this is why I talk about planning, because we didn't have to worry about that because I thought about it like for hours in my room. just it's just like, this is why I like to talk about planning. We didn't have to thought about that because like the whole lighting in the short is coming from just one window, like, and I just from one window, so it was natural lighting, but we knew exactly where it was coming from.
Okay.
yeah.
But
in
what
a
I
sense.
what I did is that I thought about what type of lighting I want, and I just decided that I wanted to overexpose it voluntarily. Like I wanted to like this kind of white square in the middle of the whole film.
Right.
And so, and starting from there, I just knew when the team had to come to be able to have a good shooting. And it was an easy film to make, but just like
Well, what
just
was
plan
what
it.
was the concept of the film?
The whole concept of the film was just like me going through my moods, I could say. Not this. I'm not in it, but it's just the pitch is just a guy who is about to take his own life.
Okay.
And like right before he dies, you got literally death incarnate coming to him, and just like a bit like Karen, taking souls to the sticks. Like it's just you got just death coming to him and just taking his life. It's very short, it's just 2 minutes.
Okay.
It's just an experiment. It was just me experimenting with black and white and.
Oh, it wasn't black
sound.
and white. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like you said, there's basically no electric, there's no fake lighting. It's all just it's the daylight, right? That's the whole thing. So there's no focus on like getting the right, organizing
there's
that.
no focus on lighting.
There's no sound, so we didn't need a sound guy, so we had a very reduced team.
Yeah, that was great. Like
And,
working with a reduced team. Like
Obviously, the smaller the scale, the more we could focus in on little things, get
there was just like one difficulty I could say. Like we had to play with fluid at some point. Like there's a shot when I needed to have like just
There was one
recalling the whole
gigabyte
frame,
thing.
and it was just that part was a little hard.
Well, yeah, I remember when we were talking about that before starting on our first day. I remember that we didn't have a plan yet for like what was the liquid going to be,
I mean,
right?
I mean, I had a plan, but it just didn't work.
Well, what was the
Right,
concept? What was the
right.
concept of the fluid? Was it like blood or
It's-
something? I was like,
Yeah, it was
well,
blood.
it's
It was
supposed
just
to be
like
blood.
it's of course it's not real blood. Don't worry,
No, yeah.
people. It's just like
Chocolate
it
milk.
was just concept of a shot. Like just if you follow my hand, it was just concept of blood coming out of the edge of the frame and just covering the whole.
And
Oh, like a
slowly.
smear, like something.
like leaking.
Oh, okay, okay.
And the funny thing is that I had just been watching a documentary about Psycho. So then I just brought up to Hugo, like right after, I was like, oh, why don't we do like in Psycho and make it
Let's
some
take chocolate
Nesquik?
syrup. Like,
Yeah, I said chocolate milk. I was like, chocolate.
Yeah.
this is how it works.
That's how-
If you want
that's how the
to
pros
know
do
how
it.
they made the blood in Psycho and pretty much
Yeah.
a lot of black and white films, and I'm sure just take chocolate syrup.
I think to be
Yeah.
fair, like the making films in black and white gives you a lot of leeway into like, using alternative, because like when you have no color, you can literally do whatever the fuck you want. There's
Yeah,
no-
and you can like
Yeah.
you can do a bunch of things. This is why I mean I know my next one is not gonna be in black and white, but it's something I like to play with a lot.
yeah, black and white.
Yeah.
I,
There's
I was thinking, I wanted to do like, you remember when we did the Limbo? It was just
Yeah.
you, me, Jason, and Antoine, Phil, and we made. Well, it was basically the same concept. It was a silent film, but he had like he had one line. It's just his reaction there. But ultimately, I was thinking of making it black and white, but because we were shooting at night, it was kind of like
yeah.
it's just really dark, and I
That,
didn't want
that's another. That film had a challge where we were filming everything at night,
yeah.
and
And we just started. So we didn't have like we had only sound
it
equipment.
was
and we had, like,
I
a
think it was
camera.
our first film together, if I'm correct.
Oh, I mean,
one of-
aside from Signs of Evil, there, but
Oh, yeah.
we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that one.
That's in
Yeah.
the past. We bury the past.
I know that. I showed the film at night. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was great.
To be honest, I can't wait to go. This is the reason why like the lockdown kind of like ruins everything, because the fact that we're limited to the amount of the types of shooting we can do. Like we can't shoot nighttime. We can't do interior films often.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not too
but-
much.
In a sense, the constraints give us a reason to favor some types of scripts and
Also be more
work our
creative.
scripts to fit these.
Yeah, and also be more creative with how we go about doing things.
Yeah. I mean, a certain amount of limits are pretty healthy, I would say, in the creative process.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that it doesn't completely stifle creativity, but it does prioritize certain stories over others
Yeah.
to the detriment of some.
That's true. Speaking of future projects, what do you guys have? You guys have like other projects planned up for?
So
For
I can't reveal everything because that's.
Well, no, don't reveal everything. That's no. It's just
But
tease it. This is the Marvel. This is the Marvel
tease.
trailer.
Okay, yeah, this is the after credit scene, I guess. Maybe I may have a high fantasy short
Ooh,
that I'm writing right now.
interesting.
And well, you, Daryl, will probably like see the inspirations from our
campaign.
sessions of
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons. There's a lot. It's really like a classic high fantasy setting that I wanted to see if I could write within those confines.
We'll be cosplaying. Everybody will be cosplaying.
Everything.
It's gonna be funny.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not saying that I'm going to release it soon
Sure. Yeah. Obviously.
because I still have to work out like how feasible everything is.
Yeah.
I'm thinking right now about like the shot list, and
It's
like the
stress.
thing about the high fantasy genre in film that I find very interesting is you have to camouflage all the urban.
True.
And
I mean, we could just shoot in
Try
forest.
doing that in the middle of Morel. Yeah, great plan.
We can shoot in the forest.
Exactly.
We can shoot in the forest, and then hopefully
that's
there's
the
no.
thing. You have to look at specific places in a vacuum. You have to limit off. You really have to lean into jump cuts. You really have to lean into the magic of editing.
This brings me back to this brings me to the idea of one of my ideas beforehand that if not this summer, next summer, probably most likely next summer, the summers afterwards, we would all go to like a somewhere like in the suburbs, like I don't know, Mont Saint Bruno or something, like out in the chalet, whatever, and like actually have stay there for like 3 or 4 days or like maybe a week and like shoot something there, just like it's just like a week of like vacation, but also at the same time,
the Sam Raimi technique.
Yeah, and just legit like see what happens. Whatever, like we'll write a script in the car on the way there, and then
just write it on the post-it, like it's just
see like a what could like come out of this adventure.
I know what's gonna come out. We're all gonna kill each other.
Oh boy, it's gonna be.
And there's just gonna be one guy with a camera in the middle of it, and the shot is gonna call like who kills each other.
It's gonna be Until Dawn. It's gonna be Until Dawn. It's like
a non-adaptation where it's just 4 people that try to make a film in the woods and just end up killing each other.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's what I have cooking right now.
Okay.
But you go. You got
some. What I have cooking, like I have this big challenge I've tried to set for myself. It's just write a feasible thing.
Yeah.
Just because like I've watched a bunch of I've wrote a bunch of things like in the midst of COVID pandemic. It's just I have to admit I have this this always my big like demon, like just write something that is really simple and feasible.
Yeah.
Okay, but what can I say? I'm not going to talk about the movie I'm drawing right now. I'm not going to. I'm not going to talk too much about the one I'm doing the storyboard on because I'm still unsure about how we're going to do it. Of course, there is this project which was on hold, but we kind of canceled it. Like back in October, I had this script like which Philip was basically the script doctor, we might say, because he helped me a lot. Yeah. And I had a complete short list, something like 70 shots, something like that, 8-minute film of a horror movie. But the problem with this one that he's entirely indoors, so I'm not sure when we're gonna do it.
Do it at Sami's house since he's so happy to bring people in.
Maybe, but it's a bit small at Sami's house. I wrote it for Philip's house. It's much bigger.
But unfortunately, Philip's house it's stress
right now.
No, but like other than that, I mean, I still have a few whole things, and I'm trying to work on movies that are gonna be more character based. There are precisely 2 scripts I'm working on. I'm not going to say anything because it involves someone who's not there, so I'm not going to talk without her. But I got this friend at university. I made her look at a couple of scripts and basically making things feasible, character based, and maybe this whole film's like it's called Je veux arrêter. Yeah, it's going to be French speaking. We're going to make it someday, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what else can I say. Like bunch of photographs.
Yeah.
I mean, I posted one today. I think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of university, also, I wanted to talk about because since we're all in film studies, what is your I guess perception of film studies and the program itself, and did it actually help you in terms of understanding film more, or just more of a the way I use it is more for networking and like meeting new people and like having that's how we were connected with Jason. That's how we were connected with Antoine. That's how I met, you and Phil. And that's how, Phil, I know for a while, but I reconnected with him ultimately. But yeah, so what do you think about the actual program itself? And
I think I have a good position on that because this is my second year of film studies here in Montreal at Concordia, but I've made 2 years before that of basically the same thing, film studies. Yeah. There was just a small practical course, which kind of made short. I've done 2 years in France at the l'Université de la Sorbonne, Paris 1, for anyone who knows it.
He's Parisien, by the way.
Yeah, I'm Parisian, so
In case you haven't noticed.
in case you haven't noticed, and it's okay if you hate me. It's okay because we are better than you. You know, like it's okay to hate what's better than you. So, but film says, like, of course, like you said, it's great for networking. Like, to be honest, like
Yeah.
I've got shit tons of friends. Like back in Paris, I got like a whole network of like 30 people who are all making into like film schools or just like professional stuff
Yeah.
right now in Paris. So anyone I want, I just hop on a plane and try and make things with them.
Yeah.
Don't piss me off. Uh, so yeah, it was great for that, and I kind of had the same thing here. Like it's great for networking,
Yeah.
and beyond that, I think it helps a lot for understanding films. Like really, to be honest, to be completely honest, like it helped me what some aesthetics choices may means. Like just be aware of what came before you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't believe every time you make a film you like inventing the wheel.
Yeah.
So
It's
just
like
like
it's like
to have an
telling.
awareness of what came before you, what is actually being done today,
Yeah.
and so you can work without reference and
Yeah.
yeah, be more aware. Like that will be the final word I can say.
Right.
Uh, do you ever think of going? Well, do you think of applying for film production? Because I know Phil might be going to film production. Was that still your plan? For
Maybe, but I think I'm giving up on that for now. I'm
okay.
thinking more of a master's right now.
In what, film studies or in film?
Probably production.
So yeah. So you're switching.
Yeah, yeah. Or it's
So
more
yeah,
like moving to the next.
yeah. So do you plan on like going on film production, Hugo, or do you plan on like fucking
Well,
off?
I mean, I'm planning on fucking off actually.
That's yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, yeah, I've done like I'm pretty much at the end of film studies. Um, I'm basically planning of making like a year and a half, 2 years just of studies, like just working on shoots, whether they are shoots with you guys or my own or other, just making films independently or working on professional shoots. I've been applying to some jobs. I had a job interview just this morning.
Mm.
Um, just to be on shoots and meet people there and try to get into like the professional system, you know,
Yeah.
things like that. Just and make a living on my own to just taking some time off studies, I think, because
Yeah.
I've pretty much made. I won't say I know everything, but when it comes to film studies, I think I've seen most
Yeah.
of it.
A true,
So if
true, true Parisien. A true. I know everything, guys.
I don't know everything, but just like,
one.
come on, guys.
Stanley Kubrick and got shit on me. I'll make that 2001 way better.
I dare you.
Challenge accepted.
That was accepted.
But so yeah, so I'm just gonna take some time off studies, and if I come back to studies, I think it will be for more professional stuff,
Yeah.
like really schools and not universities.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think I'm gonna after my last year, I'm gonna go around and try to work on professional shoots and actually, I don't know, actually be in in the actual industry as well, and learn more
Yeah,
about the
exactly.
actual industry. And
Get into it. Like at some point, you're gonna do it. Like it's hard. Like to be
well, yeah,
honest, like I've been applying for jobs for months. It's hard, but you gotta do it at some point. You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean to be fair, that's why we're doing shoots ourselves, so we have like really base understanding of how
Yeah, of course.
stuff works. So we don't have when you go on set, you be like, what is a shutter speed? What I mean, it's a very different, it's a very different thing. And you'd be like, yo, how do you frame something? Like, what does this button do? So at least on like beforehand understanding, and also working on a skill set and learning more as you go and applying it
Of
instead of just
course.
like theory, because it's nice to have theory, but applying and actually having the knowledge of how to manage a film, or how to create a system that works efficiently. I think that's more important as well. So I don't know. I guess in the end, film studies is a good thing for meeting people. But it's not really. I don't. For me, I don't know. It's not really practical to actually get like film experience, if you will.
It's not made for film experience. It's made for film knowing. Like
Yeah,
it's like
to understand in a critical and maybe academic sense.
Yeah, I guess more. Yeah.
yeah, like if you really follow through film studies, like you're gonna end up like being something like a critic or a historian. Like it's not a bad thing.
You're
Like
a critic.
like a lot of great filmmakers studied out that way. Like Bong
Yeah.
Joon-ho was a critic. Like
Yeah.
director of Parasite, he was a critic before being a filmmaker.
Yeah,
But
Scorsese.
it's just it's a way to get it, and but I don't think it's mine. Because I'm just kind of sick of writing papers on movies. I just want to make it.
Yeah, that's
Just
true.
want to make
Yeah,
them. So
that's kind of like the turn off. Ultimately, it's like in the end, you're just kind of like, I don't want to fucking write about this.
Fair enough.
It's kind
yeah,
of like instead of being the like I'm watching your films, I want to make my own films.
exactly.
You write about me.
It's a bit of that. Yeah, yeah.
What-
So
So do you think do you see yourself as more of a author creator, or you're more sort of like you want to go more blockbuster, like sort of George Lucas type thing, or more like he's
I mean,
more author, but like it's
I
I
mean, some
just
would argue that George Lucas is an author.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's very much, but like it's
I just would love a world into which you can bring the both together. Like to be honest, like because in my way of working, I know without being too pretentious, I'm maybe a little bit awful because I can be very possessive with my films,
sure
like and just having
very Tarantino.
and having my ideas. I want to become some movies are about some personal stuff. I gotta say.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, but it just I would love to be an author, but with a budget. Just like not it'll be just trying to convince people to bring them into your films and into your
Yeah.
ideas, and not just being in your just being not being like Kubrick, just not being your kid, the kid in the corner playing with your toys and trying to bring people in.
Yeah. Do you plan on sticking to a specific genre, or do you want to like expand to any genre?
I mean, I would, as for since I'm 16, I've tried a lot of things. I've tried a comedy once.
Oh yeah, actually, I
No,
was thinking about
yeah, you don't want to watch it.
Sami would be great at a comedy.
Yeah, maybe. Like I would love to try some things. Yeah, but more out of curiosity because I think I know what I like.
So you're gonna stick to like a specific genre, then like a
Yeah, yeah, and
sci-fi.
try some stuff. Like I know I can. Like for instance, like I've thought about the example of comedy. I know I'm bad at writing comedy, but
Sure.
if you show me a good script, I won't be against directing it. Like
Okay.
just like
Okay.
what's what's in my realm, I can write it directed.
Yeah.
But what's outside of my realm, if you just convince me directing it, I can direct it.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit weird, but yeah, that's kind of.
Ultimately you prefer directing over
Yeah,
writing.
ultimately, yeah, because I'm much more. I've noticed that since I'm taking photographs, I've started taking pictures when
Yeah.
I just arrived here, like on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Um, I prefer images much more. Like to me, like just one shot is much better than a long speech.
But you don't want to do you don't want to be DP then, like a actually work with
Yeah, but
actors.
like it's difference. The thing with DP when you're DP is that you're only on the you're only on the production. You're only on the shoot,
Yeah.
and you don't have any influence on the editing and on the story. And
Okay.
you don't work that much with the actors.
Yeah.
So prefer to be a director because like when you're a director, it's quote unquote your film. Like
Yeah.
you're here at every stage of production,
Yeah.
and you can really follow through with your ideas.
Yeah. That's true.
But when you're DP, you just
Just one aspect of the film.
yeah, you're just on one aspect, and I like to be on every aspect.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. What about you, Phil? What is your interest in film and
Right.
filmmaking?
So I would say similarly to Hugo that I like to have my hands all over the project's pre-prod, prod, and post-prod.
Yeah. Yeah.
So directing appeals to me a lot in that
Yeah.
sense. The transmitting of perspective
Yeah.
and the barriers between perspective and material result is something that's interesting to me.
Yeah. I
So
think
there's
that's
a lot of applications of thought processes that I think directing provide a specific outlet for.
Yeah, you have a specific vision, so you want to stick to it and like
Yeah,
mold it to your liking. Yeah.
yeah, vision, I suppose. So
I think the one thing that right now New Crown lacks, because as I use our projects as a sort of gauging to see what we're good at and what we suck at and what we need to improve on. And I think the biggest thing right now is more, well, because right now we have, we have the tools, if you say we have the actual tools, but we don't have the actual, like, we need to get more people involved in terms of, who's in specific speciality, because we have a good,
Consistency.
yeah, exactly.
That's pretty much the word, I think. Like we really like consistency, like in fact, like be sure who does what, who
Yeah,
always at what hour, because we have a problem with being late
yeah,
on shoots.
right,
Um,
production assistant, having a consistent production assistant.
yeah, and like right now, because like right now we have a sound guy. Jason's a sound guy, but he's not really a sound guy. Like he's not like, he's not good at the he's more an editor.
You're
So
more of a sound editor.
yeah, well, I
You
mean,
need someone dedicated to,
yeah,
yeah.
and so ultimately, me, like, as whenever I'm filming a film, I usually play had the role of producer, director, and also the sound guy. Fucking PA,
Wearing
all
too
that
many
shit.
hats. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that's why like the films get a little more distracting in terms of like creating them. It's a lot more less
Right.
stressful, but like
So to elaborate on your question as well, I do think I also suffer of the many hats syndrome.
yeah,
I have a deep love of writing that predates filmmaking, in the sense where I used to write short stories and even novels, um, and that's one of my life goals, not career goals, but life goals,
to write a
is
book.
yeah, to consistently publish novels. Um, and so I have a deep love for literature that makes me still come back to the screenwriting consistently. So as much as I also love transmitting my vision through directing, I think
Yeah,
screenwriting is also my outlet for that. And it kind of scratches my itch for,
yeah,
writing, which
yeah,
I always feel like I want to be doing on a weekly basis.
yeah, but what you're saying is not a bad thing. Like in filmmaking, you don't have to turn into a fucking factory. Like there are some hats that can overlap.
yeah,
Like basically there are three roles. It can be one. It can be the same person, which is writer, director, producer.
yeah,
Like it's very common that those three hats are just on one or two person.
yeah,
Like you don't have to separate eventually, but what we really need to separate is the technical roles. Like
yeah.
our
Right.
sound guy should focus solely on the
On the
sound.
sound,
Like
yeah,
Jason, like you're making a great job. Sorry, but like it will be better if you have a sound guy and
yeah.
an editor.
That's true.
To
Like
have a logic, yeah.
so,
Um,
like on the logistical part, like.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
On the technical people have to stick to their guns, I suppose.
yeah,
Yeah, like when I'm DP, I'm not gonna start directing. Like I
yeah. That's
try to
yeah,
Yeah,
focus on it.
agreed. And but I think I agree with you on that. But where I think I feel like I wear too many hats is I also have a deep passion for acting.
yeah. And the actor director
Yeah,
is kind of a
and
tough
that's
thing as well.
also an itch that I consistently have to scratch. Something that I yearn for, and that ever since I stopped doing theater, I've been consistently hungry for more and more.
Well, yeah,
And
that was one of the things I noticed in Come In. That's why I didn't want to act in like most of my film. Well, my upcoming films, I didn't want to act in it because ultimately it's super hard. Whenever you're in front of the camera, you can't see what's going behind the camera, so it's hard to
yeah, it's a challenge.
gauge and like be like I have to trust the DP to know how to frame things and how to like ultimately give him what I want and then leave it up to him or her to
Risk losing control of your film to a degree,
exactly.
depending on who your team is. Now,
Yeah,
I'm lucky because I could say I would wager that everyone who was on the team when I was doing Fly are friends
yeah,
as well as coworkers.
yeah,
So I trusted them with respecting my vision to a
yeah.
degree. But like if Fly was done in a industry context where people are doing their jobs, but they're also like trying to get ahead, I I could feel more like, oh, I have to remind them that this is like my post is also.
Yeah.
But luckily on Fly, I had that peace of mind because I trust my friends.
Yeah.
But you know,
That's true. It's very true. That's why I mean, for you, Hugo, do you prefer writing, or like is your real like focus on directing? Like, do you write as like Tarantino would say, like I write because I want to make a film, or you write because you genuinely love writing and creating a world.
I don't see, I don't remember writing. I think everything I've wrote for now are like everything I wrote are scripts that I want to direct.
Okay.
Like for now, I haven't wrote. I have a couple of ideas, but I haven't wrote anything that I don't want to direct.
Yeah.
So you might say I'm more than the director because if I had a writer, because maybe so I don't think I don't know. I can say I'm very possessive. Like
No,
when I
but yeah,
direct, I like to write too.
yeah. So,
Because
but like, would you like write a script for someone else, for example, to direct? Or
right, just if I have the right idea, I haven't got one. Like I would direct something someone else have written, but I don't think I will write something for
someone
someone
else?
else to
Yeah.
direct. Like I
Okay.
think it goes in one way, but not the other.
Yeah. So
Mm.
yeah, I guess you're more of a possessive writer.
Yeah, I'm kind of pathetic because the problem in my way of writing that when I write, I basically start thinking about the short list.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. That's like
and because in my just and I always do that in my description when I describe a scene, I'm actually describing the shots.
yeah.
So it's just a bit of a bummer. I'm trying to get rid of that, but
I'm interested in like how what are your writing processes, both of you? Since like I mean we're all writers in a sense, but like what are your like writing process? Do you when you write a script, do you write it as if you weren't directing it? I mean Hugo, you just kind of answered that question, but like you Phil, for example, when you wrote Fly,
right.
would you had the idea of having you yourself be the director and then have like write it as a shot list in a sense, what it as a
To a
concept for it?
degree, yes, but I would say that for Fly in particular, for that example, I'll say yes. If you read through it, there is a pretty clear like shot description or
Yeah,
at least hint at what the shot is supposed to be because I already had the shot list while doing that, so
yeah,
it's everything aligns. So for Fly, yes, but for other things I write, no, because for me each project is different, has
yeah,
its own like has a different attachment of mine
yeah, yeah,
to it. So, uh, like for example, I've written "Come In," right? For me, I had a different. It wasn't like the same attachment, and it would be like the same thing for like I write a lot of things, but a lot of them I don't have the intention of adapting them
yeah.
to films.
So you wrote it as a conceptually. You don't write it as like a shot list, for example.
Right.
So,
So, on a baseline, I don't. But if I wish to, depending on the specific script, then
yeah,
I do sometimes.
I think there's one situation into which I could write something that I want direct. It's in the case which like the idea doesn't come from me. Like just when it
Well,
gets
that's the
out of
case.
my when it gets
Exactly.
out of my own head, I start getting
yeah,
attached to it very easily. But if someone else give me his idea and it just said to me, "Okay, write me a script,"
yeah. Those are the
maybe I
people come in.
can.
That's
I think I
exactly.
could do that.
I
Maybe.
agree because that's exactly the process for Come In. It was Daryl's idea, and
Yeah,
he asked me to write the script.
Yeah.
So, I just went over the details, went over the lines, and
yeah.
like thought through what the structure should be and what it should be about. But he told me the theme, the
The
mood,
concept. Yeah,
and the concept.
Hmm.
So I 100% agree with you about if it's someone else's thing, my attachment to it is different.
yeah,
Um, maybe not in every case. Maybe if someone gives me an idea like that's broad enough that I really feel like I've made it my own and I have to be the one to bring it to screen.
mm,
I haven't had that circumstance yet, but I suppose that could happen.
mm.
But right now, that has been the one experience where I was proposed or rather asked to, create the fine lines in a sense and flesh out this idea,
yeah.
and then I brought it back. I did my work for
You did
that
your
film.
mojo. You did your mojo on it.
Yeah, exactly. I sprinkled my mojo. I handed it back.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that. It's I guess it's different circumstances ultimately in the end when you're writing a script. It's very much
Yeah.
because I know a lot of writers enjoy writing scripts that have like super like many thread lines and having their inside jokes or their inside thoughts
Sure.
of what they want the characters to be. They're ultimately directing in a sense that when they're writing.
There is an aspect of screenwriting, of writing in general, but screenwriting, since it's to be adapted,
Yeah.
you always have in mind the fact that that will be someone's face. Like
Yeah.
you don't say like she had long black hair and a
Yeah.
face. Like no, someone is going to be cast for that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in the industry, in the industry level, you could have more of a sort of accepting towards that because you have
Right,
you have
but
the
you wouldn't
budget
write
to
that
hire.
into the script. Like
Yeah, like
there's a difference in the pros involved.
because
Right.
like a lot of characters who are like from adaptations of like film of games to like film or books to film, whatever.
Yeah. When
They
it's
have different.
when it's an adaptation of something already written, you will have like a, has to look like this broadly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to I guess to end this off on a big note, let's talk about the upcoming MCU films. Let's get it. Woo! Let's go.
Oh, please.
I have actually a question for Hugo
Shit.
concerning this. It's not the question you think.
Can we swear?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, fucking. I've been F-wording this entire time. So.
I
Okay.
don't, but he does. I exist. My little square exists in a
It's a safe space.
PG-13 universe.
It's a safe
His
space over there.
square exists in a rated R universe.
Yeah, he lives in Midgard. No, he lives in Asgard. I live in Midgard.
Yeah.
I mean, hell.
You're in hell.
Right. So my question is, knowing that you have a disdain for a lot of the MCU, you've once told me that your favorite of them is Black Panther.
It's one of my. I would say.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I say a lot that I have disdain for MCU. It's just that I have. It's very weird. Like the thing with the MCU movies is that Marvel and Disney and all the people in it, they have both the money and the talent to make what I think could be great movies. Like to be honest, there are two MCU films that actually I love. They are Avengers 1 and Black Panther.
Yeah.
I love those movies. But the rest is, I think, it's just, and it's like they underestimate themselves. Like it could be so much better.
Yeah.
This is how I feel about the MCU, and I feel, and I just, it's frustrating to see how good how much money they're making, and how good they're making, while they can do so much more, so much more quality. Like this is just. It's just frustrating.
I see. So it's a frustration with they could be aiming higher or they could be doing better.
Exactly. Like there are a bunch of ideas in MCU that I love that I would love if you made me read through them on paper.
Yeah.
But like
right.
the way they're doing it doesn't.
To be fair, I do agree in the sense that a lot of the MCU films that aren't like either a big Avengers movie or like the big thread lines. Like for me, Age of Ultron was just sloppy. It was just like, yeah, we need another Avengers movie just to cap this phase. And like like Thor 2, like he's just kind of like a film just to here introduce one of the stones and then that's it. Like we move on.
Thor 2 is
like pretty much the whole phase 2 is like that. Each movie is just this is one stone and this is Tony Stark doing whatever he does. I don't know.
Like I feel like a lot of I agree in the sense that a lot of the MCU films are mostly sort of like hype based. They're not like actually good films to watch. Like if you watch this on like if you didn't know anything about the MCU and you watch one film,
you watch some of them on their own.
Yeah, you'd be like
necessarily stand up.
Yeah, they wouldn't stay in your head. Like for me, Ant-Man and the Wasp like was kind of just like, oh look, quantum theory. That's it.
Right. They work as if you view it as a TV show,
Yeah, exactly.
which is something that I know that Hugo,
I don't like.
we've had our discussion about that as well.
I'm not entirely against it. Just like she, at some point, just goes too far. I think. Like, just
The
I don't know.
blurring the line between
Yeah.
serialized fiction and self-contained film.
Yeah, well, that's why we had this conversation prior before we like with having the MCU universe be the NCU universe being inside the like a streaming platform, and
Right.
instead of like
And I think depending on how the next few years go, Hugo may have his wish in the sense, well, I don't know what his wish is exactly if he
I mean,
has.
it's just
I wish-
if you
I wish
want to
it
make a
was
TV show, make a TV show.
Exactly, but
it's
that's-
just simple as that. I haven't watched WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't think I will watch him because I don't feel very attached to those characters. But if the whole MCU start becoming like that, that's fine for me because they will assume the fact that they're making a TV show.
That's
Like,
the thing. I think you will get your wish. I think they're slowly going to, traverse the big gap between film and television, and I think they're going to fully embrace it eventually.
I mean, if
I think
that happens like that, I'm gonna be happy. Yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying. I think you're going to get your wish eventually.
But yeah, I do agree in the sense that where he's coming from, and like that was kind of my issue as well with the MCU, where it's kind of like they're their own sort of, because it's a universe, they're their own sort of like it's not an anthology series, so like they're all interconnected. So if you don't watch this film, you won't understand the concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like sometimes, like you said, you just watch a film just from one detail. Like Ant-Man in the Wasp. Do you actually care about the story and the character? No, you're just watching that because it's introducing the quantum theory for Endgame.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just, I don't like watching a whole 2-hour film just for one story point, story plot. Like I like films as a whole. Like, from first minute to last minute, there's an interest into it.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, to be fair, like Black Panther was created especially in that moment for that very reason, to make it sort of like, because it was impactful and all, and like it's like it was created not because people like Black Panther from was it Civil War, but also because they were like, I want to see like a black superhero that has that has his own universe and that's inside his own world, and what that world is about,
that is something also, because that my initial question was relating to that what makes Black Panther, and in that regard the Avengers, I suppose, stick out from the rest for you. But I'm going to mention that it seems like Black Panther can completely stand on its own outside of it, and has in a sense an inner universe that it creates where you don't need any prior knowledge.
Yeah, because it's also especially because it was created just for that, because like the actual world itself is disconnected from the rest of the world, so it's like, what happens in Iron Man 1 does have nothing to do with
right
what goes on in
so yeah, Hugo.
I mean, for me, Black Panther stands out, like, which is gonna be very absurd. Like, it just stands out because of his quality. Like, to be honest, Ryan Coogler, I love this guy. Like, just on the directing and the writing, like, just so much better than most of every movies. Like, there's so much creativity. The whole world, like the city of Wakanda, I just love this world. Like, just it's like there's an idea in each and every scene when you watch this movie. Like, it's really, this is why, like, I'm not gonna go full Scorsese, but I think I agree with him on some parts. And this is a movie. This is a movie with really some ideas, and you actually care about what's happening, like about those characters in this world. Like, you're not just watching Black Panther because you're looking for an infinity stone or a plot point which is gonna be bring out in the next movie. Like, there's actually a point. Like, it's a movie about racial issues, and it's the fight between Killmonger and Black Panther, and they both have their own ideas about that, and they have that their whole films. This is what I call film. Like, there are storylines with points, there are creativity, they make images because it tells something, it creates a world. Like, it's not just to introduce the next movie.
I also like how authentic it was, because they actually went to Africa and went to talk to different tribes and integrate.
This is a good word. This is a good word, authenticity. Like, this is a good word to describe it.
Also, but the thing that the sad thing about it is they didn't have enough time for the VFX, so like everything in the end just went to shit.
A
Yeah,
lot
this
of
is
people complain about that,
this
but
is a
I
sad thing. Yeah.
in the broader scope, it's one sequence of 10 seconds that
Yeah.
leaves to be desired, yes,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
I
That
can't blame
PS2
the
fighting.
filmmaker. He was on a deadline, and
Yeah.
yeah, uh, I think all in all, it is the most self-affirming of the MCU's films, in the sense where like this film should most definitely exist, and outside, like if the MCU never happened, this film should exist
Yeah. And
for
on
its
own, yeah.
cultural importance, for what it represents to people,
Yeah.
for the social movements that kind of got a bump because of it,
Yeah.
because of just the message it sends.
I'm curious to see what they'll do because for the second one there for Wakanda
Yeah.
Forever, because the late passing
Yeah,
of Chadwick Boseman.
I'm cautious about it.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried too. Like, I trust Ryan Coogler. I like what's the other films, his other
Yeah.
films. Like, he's a great director. So
Fruitvale
like,
is one of my favorite films of
yeah, for example, like just so the MC, like Black Panther is typically the case where the MCU stopped being the MCU. He started being the work of the director. And this is my this is because I'm French. This is because that like the overall aspect of the movie. But like to be honest, yeah, there's a bit of that.
I thought you would like what was it? What was that one? I don't think there's one. There's no French. There's no French. I was gonna say Batroc, but he's Québécois.
Batroc.
GSP is Québécois. Never mind.
So if you watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there is a
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, but he's introduced in the film Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter
Yeah.
Soldier.
yes.
I don't like that one, but yeah.
I mean, I argue that one is more of a is a kind of more of a spy esque film.
Spy thriller.
Yeah, spy thriller film. So that's also one thing I admire from the MCU is the fact that different characters have their own different genres. Like they're not all the same. Like like Guardians of the Galaxy is very much just different. From,
does not feel the same as Iron Man. I agree with that. That is a bright spot in overall. Also, the evolution. Like if you go from Iron Man 1 and then right after you watch Thor Ragnarok,
it's a different
it does not feel like the same universes.
Yeah.
Because I think that's probably the best thing. They're slowly embracing the goofiness of comics more and more. And I think that's a good thing. I feel like the MCU may meet its match, or rather halt, whenever they hesitate to go goofy. When they start
going too serious and like
for at least for what the MCU is.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but like there's one movie who like in just an hour and 50 minutes he just went so much better than the MCU, and the MCU took 22 years to do that. It was Spider-Verse. Like this is embracing the goofiness. Like to me, like the MCU still have some we still have some track to win.
I agree with that. Yeah, I have nothing in response to that.
I also think the fact that
like, and this is why the MCU is frustrating. Like they take 20 years to embrace, like what you said. They take 20 years to embrace the goofiness. One movie just made in just like one film. Yeah, 1 year. Like so. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like it's good. The MCU is like for now at least they're going towards a brighter way.
A brighter way. So yeah.
Growing up, I would say like it's maturing through the works of individual like directors that are applying themselves within it. I don't know that much about her filmography, I'll be honest, but I'm interested in the fact that Chloe Zhao is directing The Eternals, which is a series that I know next to nothing about.
Jolie's in it.
Also-
Angelina Jolie's in it, and that one girl from Captain Marvel is also in it. So
Right,
everyone
right.
spotted that. They were like, "Huh." He thought we didn't remember. I think that's also the problem with MCUs, because they basically casted every single person. They have to they have to like recycle casting. It's just like
They've already got almost everyone.
they can't use Brad Pitt because Brad Pitt was in one of the fucking, what was it? Oh, no, that was Deadpool. Never mind. It was.
No, they can use Brad Pitt. They're gonna use Brad Pitt.
I mean, because he used him in Deadpool, and Deadpool now is part of the MCU. And
Is it? I
I don't think so.
I don't. I think
he's meta. He's gonna be part of the MCU one way or another.
he will walk into frame and then go out, and that'll be it. Like
it's gonna be like the Fantastic Four, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, look at me! I'm here, guys."
oh, that's one thing also. I think it's almost impossible for the MCU to do worse with the Fantastic Four. I don't know what you think, Hugo.
I mean, like let's talk. Like, are we gonna talk seriously about the film from Josh Trank? Like, is it his film for now? That's the first question. Is it really Josh Trank's movie?
That's a good
Because,
question. Yeah.
and when the director like just wasn't there for, I don't know, like something, a third of the shoot, he wasn't there for quite that. It got re-edited like a bunch of times. Like, could we really say it's director's film? Like, it's more of a studio films, but like, no. Does his film exist? Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Who is Josh Trank?
No. Like, actually, his last movie was pretty good. Like, Capone was good. It worked.
Oh, I haven't seen it, but yeah,
Like, the last Fantastic Four movie was a mess. It's a mess we're all gonna forget.
I wouldn't bet on the fact that it could be worse, because it could always be worse.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch Transformers, you thought Transformers 2 was gonna be bad. Holy fuck! Have you seen the fifth one? Unbelievable. Jesus
The fourth
Christ.
one was good. Actually, the fourth
The fourth
one
one
was
was
pretty
good.
good.
Fourth one
the
wasn't that
first
bad.
one is a perfectly serviceable, fun film.
The fourth one wasn't that bad, but the fifth one, if you watch that shit, I cried.
Yeah, I watched that shit. Yeah. It was. What happened with the frame of the fifth one? Like, he just the aspect ratio changed every time. Like,
yeah, I know. And
sometimes we have a shot, another shot. Like, there's one shot on the cut, it's IMAX. Then there's one shot on another cut, it's CinemaScope. Like, you don't know why. What happened?
I think also that, like, the completely forgot where, like, about the concept of the first one, or like the whole, all the beings were created by the cube, and they were like, no,
Yeah, he
it's an
retconned it.
actual being that transforms the universe into machinery. It's like, what the fuck?
He retconned himself.
And in the middle of it, we got Anthony Hopkins with his Oscar.
Oh yeah. Odin walking about with a fucking with a robot butler.
Oh boy.
But I guess we could end the podcast on that sour note. And so yeah, let us know what you guys think about, the MCU films, and directors out there. If you guys or directors, writers, and producers out there, what do you guys think about our bullshit? And if you agree or not.
That's the right word for it, bullshit.
So I'm Daryl.
And I'm Phil.
And I'm Hugo, I guess. Yeah.
And we'll see each other. Well, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
No, I won't see you. I'm off. I'm taking a play tomorrow. No, so.
I'm going back to France. Fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Hey, Natalie. Bye.
Peace.